Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin our meeting, but before we do, I am going to stand to have a moment of silence, which I will follow up with a pledge of allegiance to our flag, and any of you who would like to join me are certainly welcome to do so. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll go ahead and call to order the December 6th meeting of the Sumner County Board of Education. First item on our agenda is roll call. Mr. Johnson, do you have the roll? For the record, we'll show that all members are present. Next is adoption of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Cox. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hale. Anything on the consent agenda anybody would like removed? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Show that passes. Next is adoption of the regular agenda. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Brewer. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Silkwood. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Adopted the agenda. Next is approval of minutes from the November 15th regular meeting. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Brewer. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. We have no recognition and hearing of the delegation. We'll move on to new business. Item A, discussion and/or action regarding the 2012-13 proposed calendar for Union University. Elementary. They're smart enough to be in the university. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Cox. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Silkwood. Mr. Wise?
I have a question on that. If we look at the minutes from the last meeting, I believe the way that motion was stated in our last meeting, we approved that calendar. Is that what we're trying to do with this action, is approve the calendar again?
I think you're 100% correct in the language was to approve both, and then we went back and said to approve Union 2. If I'm not mistaken, there was one change that Ms. Brown wanted that didn't. Ms. Brown, do you want to explain that it didn't correlate to the same administrative day or something that we wanted them to change, so we brought it back to you again, just to make that one clarification. So we had a vote on the actual one that we were using, Mr. Wise. Ms. Brown, do you have anything? Know what day that was?
When we looked at the beginning of the school year, one of the things we wanted to change this upcoming school year is that the students we had attending for a half a day of instruction, when in fact in most of our elementaries instruction did not happen. It was a registration day. They came in, filled out their paperwork, fees were collected. And so the decision was made that district-wide, that all students would start on a certain date. First full day of instruction would be instruction. So that moved that a registration date. This calendar, Union first proposed that the 26th would be administrative, 27th would be registration, that half or registration day for students, and then the 30th would be another administrative day. So what we did was made that uniform with the rest of the district, so that teachers come for 2 administrative days, and when students show up for instruction, they're ready to go, ready to learn in their seats for instruction.
Mr. Wise, that answer your question? And I believe, Mr. Johnson, if I recall correctly, we also didn't actually have a calendar document at that time, did we?
Correct. You approved union being on a separate calendar, but you didn't have the specific dates in front, and so, it's customary that you approve the specific dates, which is what you're doing now.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next, item B, discussion and/or action regarding amendments to the federal projects budget. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Duncan. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Gregory. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Discussion of study session items. Item C. Mr. Johnson, this would be for the January study session.
Yeah, and in keeping with our desire to have this a short meeting for December, we're going to have several policy changes that we're going to be bringing for y'all to look at on the study session that will be going on the January regular meeting, and then, anything that you guys would like to add to discuss.
Does anyone have anything in particular at this time?
Can you review for us what we already have on the January? Because I know there were several people that had listed things that they wanted on the January session.
Let's see. We talked about it at the last meeting, didn't we?
I know Mr. Wise had brought up the nutrition. Is that going to be part of January study session?
Yes.
Nutrition.
Yeah, we had school nutrition policy, and then we had, let's see. He does.
Mr. Johnson needs a Twix bar while he's delaying here for a moment. Ms. Brown?
We had out-of-district students on there, and I believe, Ms. Cox, you'd ask about AP classes.
I think that's what I was going. If we already had a full January, I think if we wanted to talk about AP classes in the February session, that would be fine. I know that sometimes our study sessions get a little lengthy because I did want the person from the College Board to come and give a presentation in that. So if January study session is already a little full.
Well, and one of the things that has been added since we had the last meeting is we were going to also do a report on our report card results and what they mean and things like that.
I think we had talked about that, Ms. Brown. So if we want to do the discussing of AP class, I think that we should probably move that to February study session just to give that enough time for discussion.
Wise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cox, did I hear you just say that you're going to move that AP to February?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I appreciate you doing that because I would like for us to look at the policy that has to do with, see if I can word this kind of the way it was worded to me, employee personal day usage.
That's actually something that ties into the report that Mr. Curtis and Mr. Young have been working on getting. We talked about using some funds to get a benefit audit. That kind of ties into that as well.
Okay, the thing that I want to look at is if an employee is summoned to court and has no choice but has to go to court, should that employee have to use a personal day to go to court? When if not the choice of the employee, then that's what I want to look at. Have I confused all of you?
I think yeah. If Sean's not here, but we'll put that on there.
Yeah,
for
we can put
January.
that on there.
I think my understanding is if it's called by service on the jury, then we would excuse that.
Yeah.
But if they are being asked to come to court to testify in something that has nothing to do with school, or not on our behalf, then it wouldn't. You would have to take a personal day. In other words, if you were witness to an incident that required, as a witness, you to appear in court that had nothing to do with school, it was on your own personal time, maybe you saw something happen somewhere or something of that nature, then I don't think we would allow you to take. We wouldn't excuse that day. In other words,
You would excuse that day, or you would not?
we would not excuse that day.
Okay, I would like for us to take a look at that policy.
Okay, we can talk about that. The other policies y'all placed at the last meeting was, we talked about the school nutrition policy that's on there. We've also got a cell phone use policy and discussion of the field trips policy. And then we have several policies that we need to talk about changing just to rectify with state law that we'll have on there. And then we'll have a discussion of the report card.
All right, Mr. Brown, do you have something? All right, anyone else? All right, as always, if something comes to mind, just contact Mr. Johnson and he can get that put on the agenda. All right, we'll move on. Next is item 7, matters involving council. And I do know we have an executive session, so we will stand in recess. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and call our meeting back to order. We've just concluded our executive session. We have several things that we need to look at action on.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Brewer,
I'd like to make a motion to authorize council to sign the consent decree discussed in the executive session.
all right, I have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Brown. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Show Ms. Cox opposed. Next, we had a matter in the Portland roof issue where we would need a motion to accept the settlement offer and authorize the executive committee to finalize any details and sign any necessary
Motion to
documents.
approve.
Motion by Mr. Hale. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Gregory. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We'll show that passes. Next was a tort case. We will need a motion to authorize our attorney to settle the tort case as presented in executive session. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Gregory. Is a second by Mr. Hale. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We'll show that passes. And then the last is a motion to authorize our attorney to file a document on the PECA matter as presented in executive session. Motion by
Second.
Mr. Brewer, second by Mr. Hale. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll show that that motion carries. Next item on our agenda is comments from board members.
Just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I hope our teachers have a good break. And I just wanted to tell everybody, I wanted to tell our teachers I was excited to see the math improvements for our students. I know the math gains were a positive note, and so just looking forward to hearing the rest of the report from our Director of Instruction next study session. But I hope everybody has a great Christmas break.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cox. Anyone else? Mr. Wise? Oh, come back to you. All right, Ms. Selkwood.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wise, for allowing me to speak first. I'd just like to offer my condolences to the Warren family. Kathy Warren, her son was killed in that tragic wreck on Vietnam Vet, and she works at Ellis Middle School. And then also Ellis lost another staff member to just a massive heart attack, I think, that same week, so just in the past few days. So the Hartsnick family and the Warren family, my heart goes out to both those families.
Thank you, Ms. Silkwood. Mr. Wise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to wish a Merry Christmas to our non-existent audience now, but also to fellow board members. This very well could be my last Christmas while serving on the board, and I want to make it clear that I wish for all of us a very Merry Christmas. It's going to be 2012 when we meet again. Happy New Year. Be safe. My heart also goes out to those families. Ms. Silkwood, I appreciate you bringing that up. I want to remind the board too that and I've read up on this, and it's been kind of brought afresh to me that the protocol for board members, and this is just kind of a reminder. I'll give you an example. I was sent an email today that bus number, I think 544, leaks. And with all this rain, that bus leaks and a student got wet. I was reminded, just in thinking about what to do about that, I was sent an email about that by the parent, and I let Mr. Barnes know and forwarded the email on to him. And protocol says that I should let the director of schools know that. And we as board members need to communicate first to the director of schools. He is the only employee that we have. And so just a reminder that we need to communicate first with the director of schools and allow him the freedom to handle situations like that. So that's just kind of that reminder. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Anyone else? Mr. Gregory?
I'd like to thank Dr. Phillips for all the tour around the county and all listen and talk and listen to everyone and listen and learn. Thank you. And I knew that didn't sound correct, but I do appreciate that. I've heard great comments. We've had good positive media coverage of those, and now we need the funds to do some of the things that our citizens of the county and our staff members throughout the county who have spoken very well of our school system, but this is what we need to do a good job to educate students.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Brown, do you have anything? No? All right. And Mr. Wise, I echo your comments. Merry Christmas to everyone on the board. Thank you for saying that. Next item on our agenda is comments from the director, Dr. Phillips.
I also want to say Merry Christmas to everyone. It's been a fast first semester, and almost 6 months next week that I've been on the job. And I can honestly say that some of those days didn't go by so fast, but some of them didn't go by very fast for all of us. So we were all in the same boat together. So, but it's been a great 6 months, great first semester, and we're wanting to finish it out strong in our schools. So, Merry Christmas to all of you, and I hope you have a restful and peaceful and safe holiday with your family and loved ones, and enjoy that time together. I do appreciate Mr. Wise's comment, and I think all of you know me well enough now to know, hey, I'm the most open guy in the world. If you need an answer, we'll find it for you. And I don't have any problem with you communicating with anybody you want to. I have probably the least threshold of control factor in my whole being of anyone you'll ever meet. It does help me, as Mr. Wise mentioned, the circle of conversation can be cut to be more efficient. If I do know about the conversation, just copy me on the email with staff or whatever the case may be. I can assure you they feel that it's necessary for them to come and share that with me. And if I already know about it, we can just cut all that out. And so that's why I was proud that he mentioned that. I also want to say that kind of to piggyback with Ms. Silkwood's comments, we had a terrible tragedy in our community, and I think we all, our hearts go out to the Warren family because not only just as a member of the community, but they were part of our school system too. I can tell you that we did have a positive in that, if there is such a thing. We had a bus that was not necessarily involved. We were just caught in the fray of the accident, and we had a bus driver that just did an exceptional job. An exceptional job. And our transportation people and all the folks involved with getting those students, 14, off of that bus onto another bus to school, all the parents contacted, all those types of things, just went as smoothly as they could have. And so I think in January we may try to bring that bus driver to the board meeting and recognize them, just because, when those things happen, if they go as smooth as they did, that's really something that you should celebrate, because it could have had a much different outcome, either from not communicating well or it not being handled. They kept the students calm. Let them know what was going on. It was just a traumatic situation, and they did a really exemplary job. And I think it's important for the board to recognize that. So we'll probably try to have that bus driver here along with Clint Barnes in January, probably at the study session if that's okay, or something of that nature. Just wanted to mention that. So appreciate the comments about learn and listen. It was a tremendous experience to be able to go around the community in that format and listen to parents. And as you will see in March and April, when we start presenting some of our plans for the future, you will probably realize, like we realize, there are some things that are common concerns or common visions in throughout the county, but then there are things that are not the same as well. They want different things, and so we'll be able to bring that forward and show that to you. So once again, appreciate all your support, and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Phillips. Ladies and gentlemen, no further business on our agenda. We stand adjourned.